Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Colonel Kelly Dietering, Administrator, 316th Medical Group, welcome to this afternoon's retirement ceremony for Master Sergeant Donaldson, TRICARE Operations and Patient Administration Flight Chief, following 22 years and 6 days of honorable service to his country and the United States Air Force. I am Senior Airman Brianna Stewart, and I will be your narrator. We are pleased that you are with us to share this important moment in Master Sergeant Donaldson's career. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the singing of the national anthem by Ms. Tanya Gutierrez, and the invocation from Chaplain Ahoya.
Please join me to pray if you would. Almighty God, today we gather in thanksgiving to celebrate the long and decorated career of our fellow warrior, Master Sergeant Donaldson. We give you infinite thanks for the dedication and commitment with which he served the United States Air Force across 6 bases and other expeditionary locations, especially in the last couple of years as Flight Chief at the 17th Healthcare Operations Squadron. We extol you for Master Sergeant Donaldson's servant heart in helping developing airmen and civilian personnel while elevating performance. Thank you, Lord, for all who continue to serve because of the valued wisdom and guidance of thy servant. Lord, today and into the future, I ask your continued blessings upon Master Sergeant Donaldson, who has demonstrated in every respect who and what an airman ought to be. As we retire Master Sergeant Donaldson, may his cup ever be filled and his strength never fail. May he receive sevenfold in graces the time, energy, and resources he sacrificed in the service of our dear nation and the defense of freedom around the globe. Now we pray that you bless and reward also, as only you can, family members, friends, and mentors who stood by your servant during his years of service. Grant eternal rest to those who cannot be with us. Bless Daryl's mother, Cynthia Smith, and in-laws, John and Joan Stockton, who are in attendance. Father, bless Daryl's spouse, Christine, and their daughter, Ivy, for standing by him during his long career. Thank you for their perseverance during those sickly, quiet days and lonely nights of deployments, trainings, and TDYs. As they embrace new beginnings together, may they enjoy each other's friendship and presence in good health, peace, and prosperity. Renew their confidence in your providence as you fulfill in their lives the plan to prosper and not to harm them, and to give them hope in the future. May they let go of the imperfections of the past and explore new horizons with renewed zest and faith in your purpose. May they be blessed with new friends and strong network of support and enjoy the journey that lies ahead. We make our prayer in God's holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez and Chaplain Ahoya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize some special guests in attendance with us today. First, the members of Master Sergeant Donaldson's family, his wife, Mrs. Kristen Donaldson, and daughter, Ivy Donaldson, his mother, Sergeant First Class Cynthia Smith, United States Army retired, and in-laws John and Joan Stoughton, and to all other visitors, family, and friends who have come to celebrate Master Sergeant Donaldson's retirement, welcome. And now it is my privilege to introduce our presiding official, Colonel Kelly Dietering.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and to those online. We're doing a couple different online ones. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy schedule so we can honor Daryl as he retires from the greatest Air Force. First, I'd like to welcome special guests in attendance, Daryl's family, his wife Kristen and his daughter Ivy, his mother, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army retired Cynthia Smith. Ma'am, thank you for your service. And his in-laws, John and Joan Stockton, thank you for making this trip out to support Daryl. I would also like to welcome Colonel Raczynski, Colonel Lusk, Chief Rollins, and the men and women of the 17th Medical Group. Thank you for coming out. I would also like to thank Chaplain Kuhau. I'm sorry, sir. What's your name? I'm sorry. Kuhau. Thank you. And Ms. Tanya Gutierrez for the beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Ceremonies like this don't come together overnight, and I'd really like to thank Senior Airman Brianna Stewart for being the MC, A1C Javon Bracey for being the proffer, and Tech Sergeant Amanda Relets for putting this whole thing together. A little over 7 years ago, Daryl asked me, he told me, hey, you're going to do my retirement ceremony. I really thought he was joking because I was like, wow, this is like a long time out. And I thought he'd change his mind. But here we are, and I couldn't be more excited for doing this for him, so thanks for asking. But before I get started, I'd really like to ask your help. Daryl is celebrating another milestone today. He's celebrating his 40th birthday. So you all join me in singing happy birthday to Daryl. Since we're doing this live. So 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Donaldson. Happy birthday to you.
So there are many different paths I could take in today's ceremony, and a lot of people just go line by line, or what people do. But I want to do something that would be meaningful for Daryl and his family, touch on where he went across his career, how he hit some highs and lows but persevered, kind of an important lesson for Ivy as she grows up. And lastly, how he touched so many people he worked with, and how he was a true mentor and a leader. And all of us in this room can attest to that. So Daryl started his career at Whiteman Air Force Base, and he was there for 2 years. As an A1C, a supervisor stated he was dedicated beyond reproach, an outstanding airman, capable of meeting all challenges. He was a selfless team player, an excellent performer, a well-rounded airman that was looked up upon by junior staff for his knowledge and expertise, even as an A1C, displayed exceptional drive, and he was the #1 of 3 airmen. I say that was a pretty impressive start to your Air Force career. From there, he went to Osan, Korea for a year. Overseas is pretty tough, particularly in Korea. A lot of times you're in mock gear pretty much most of the time, but yet he excelled, yet again. His leaders stated that he was a professional airman who persistently exceeded expectations. He was a hard-charging airman with unlimited potential and a work ethic that is absolutely second to none. I can attest to that. And lastly was a top performer there where he stood up the primary care optimization team. Then he went to Pope. And if anyone can know what Pope is known for, does anyone know what Pope's nickname is? No Pope. Daryl kind of unfortunately he succumbed to that one. But I will say that in reading some of his things, I think Daryl was, unfortunately had not the best leadership, and not the best leadership by some MSCs. And so, but even while he was there, he deployed and he showed dedication and drive through it all, which is a testament to him. Then he went to Andrews, where I will say he spent the majority of his career. And in that place, he did every single job a 480 can do. And even there, he hit some bumps in the road, but I think he had more highlights than he had low points. So, at Andrews, he started off as the NCOIC of the medical evaluation boards. His leadership said he stepped up and was a team player who provided superb assistance. He was well-rounded with tons of potential. Then he went on to become the Presidential Support Program Monitor, kind of a difficult position. Still persevered, deployed to support O&D. Then he became the Executive Assistant. There, his boss said he had a get-her-done attitude, was an exceptional non-commissioned officer, firmly established as a young, emerging leader. Daryl attributes this job as the first one where he developed the majority of his leadership skills and the love to help others with evaluations and decorations. Following that year, he got to do another amazing job to lead the busiest CONUS ambulatory staging facility as the non-commissioned officer in charge. People don't know what an ASF is. It's where the first place where wounded soldiers, sailors, airmen come back from overseas as their first stop stateside. Andrews is one of the only ones on the East Coast, and so he led that one. He filled in as the flight chief for 5 weeks. He was the Booster Club president, and he won the Med Group Outstanding Enlisted Health Service Management Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year. Then he transitioned to become the non-commissioned officer in charge of the Airman Medical Transition Unit at Walter Reed. This is a tough assignment because you're kind of put up at Walter Reed to lead kind of the, sick patients, but they're kind of a patient squadron, but it's just up at Walter Reed. You don't really have leadership oversight because they're at Andrews, and so he was kind of left on his own. So it's kind of difficult. They just changed it to make a squadron of their own up there to try to alleviate that, but that's 8 years later that changed. Actually, more than 8 years later, probably 12 years later that changed. Anyway, there he completed 12 years to a psych degree. He didn't get a psych degree, which will be here later, but then he helped his team win the Health Plan's Team of the Year. Lastly, then he became the non-commissioned officer in charge of the Warrior Eye Center. In that position, he stepped out as a TOPA chief flight role. So as you can see, in every position, he's always stepping up to do something higher up, even in the role that he's in. After that, he was able to move around in Med Group. He got the opportunity from his MAGCOM functional manager to do a manning assist to the medical wing still at Andrews, but it was the medical wing. This turned into a full-time position, and this is where Daryl and I first crossed paths. He got to work with me, and he was the non-commissioned officer in charge of officer evaluations. He was very quiet, but a dedicated worker. I didn't have to ask him to do much, but I could see that something was going on at that time. And I truly believe that God puts people in our lives for reasons at times. Sometimes we don't know why, but sometimes we know immediately. I think God put Daryl and I together at that moment in time, so he'd be standing here right now. Daryl attributes this job as a major turning point in his career. He will say that I helped him get out of his own way. I will go out of my way to help people and fight for people that truly deserve it. Daryl is one of the people. As you can see, because he's still here. And Daryl and I are basically the same. We're very two peas in a pod, and we will go out of our way to help people and fight for people. I wouldn't let him give up, and I wouldn't let the Air Force give up on him. And we found a way to help him see the light, and the rest is history. You can kind of say, have you ever heard of paper tigers? There's a lot of paper tigers out there. And I kind of heard that. people do a lot of stuff on paper, but when you see them in person, you're like, did they really do that? And so they're not really, they don't do what you see on paper. Daryl, sometimes he got caught in they were starting to change a lot of the evaluations at that point, and he got caught in some of those things. And so even my boss were like, oh, if he doesn't have a 5 and a 5 and a 5, I'm not gonna push him. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. And so, we got to fight because some of the paper tigers weren't really doing what they were doing. So sometimes don't always look beyond the paper tigers, is all I'm gonna say. So anyway, so I'm very proud of what he's achieved, and I'm glad they're here today. At the same time, God also brought Kristen and Daryl together right around the same time. And she was exactly what he needed at that time too, and she gave him a little mini-me to boot. And they have such a great little family, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of them and their family. At the Med Wing, he was selected for the AFTW Joint Professional Military Education, and he helped stand down the medical wing and stand up the SG director at the MATCHCOM. He was the MATCHCOM non-commissioned officer in charge of the medical branch. He was the wing mentor, went back to school, and he made tech sergeant. Then Daryl went back to the medical group, and he was the section chief and patient admin. He was a wing mentor, and he helped his team win the Health Plans Man of the Year. Still in the same job the next year, he managed the wing mentor program. He was an additional duty first sergeant, and he developed a love for that position. He was the flight chief suit for 3 weeks, and he earned his BA in healthcare admin, magna cum laude, and won the AFTW Health Services NCO of the Year. Then Daryl, in the third year as that same position, he was the group WIT lead. He was the flight suit for 4 months during COVID, and he helped the clinic win the Clinic of the Year, and he won the NCO of the Quarter. Finally, in his last year, flight chief for the Airman Transition Unit up at Walter Reed again, and he directed the largest AMTU as a flight chief this time, and he led the CPI benchmarking standards across the Air Force. He was an interim first sergeant, and most importantly, he was selected for master sergeant. And then he came to Goodfellow, and then he was the TOPA flight chief. He was the interim first sergeant for 6 months, for a functional manager, filled both squadrons, SEL, resolved 5-year A&D program deficiency. The leader stated he was a selfless leader. He won the wing senior NCO of the quarter. And last year he was the HCOS SEL, filled in the troop SEL, was the SEL. 2 squadrons for 7 months, resolved several manning issues. He was a mentor, and he won the senior NCO of the quarter. So as you can see, he's done a lot in his career. So that brings me to the end of the first 2 parts of kind of what he did and how he persevered. Now it's kind of how he touched a lot of people, and he was a mentor of people. So when I was in church last week, the pastor was speaking about a hurricane and what's the difference between being in the hurricane and being in the eye of the hurricane. And there's a difference between the eye. The eye is where there's absolutely no wind, no rain, it's calm. It's the opposite of the storm itself. So I consider Daryl to be the eye, because he typically brings a sense of calm to every single situation that he comes to. He doesn't ride the wave of chaos. He doesn't ride the knee-jerk situations. Rather, he stops to evaluate every single thing that's happening and determines what's the best way to mitigate the situation and solve the problem to move forward. Daryl always looks out for his people as they are the family with which he wants, or his family, which is what you want in someone making decisions. We are losing a solid 4AO into retirement today, but Daryl has mentored many along the way, so my hope is more ride his wave and be more like the eye and bring calm to a chaotic situation. So I asked Daryl, like some close people close to him, for some stories to incorporate today. So 3 of them did. The first one was one that we worked with at Andrews, Senior Master Sergeant retired Bernie Ratliff. She had many stories, but she didn't think some of them were appropriate for her. But most importantly, she said he was always there for her, was the most flexible with the least complaints. One of the stories was when she was brand new back to Andrews. She was in the ER, and they just had a death, and she was trying to figure out what to do. The the patient person on call to do things wasn't answering. But guess who did at 11 o'clock? Daryl came down. He said she was the calm again, just like the end of the storm. Brought calm to it, helped her talk to the family, just did all that. So he said she didn't have to even ask, didn't even complain about anything, and it was just amazing to her. But she said he did have a tail though, and we called it the Donaldson. It's a face that he makes. Only those close to him know what the true meaning. But every time she was in a meeting or in a moment, that face just blessed her soul, because it just blessed her soul. He was able to connect with the airmen and senior NCOs alike too, because they can relate to him. She thought she was more of the older lady in the crowd, and he was younger. So he was able to kind of take what the old lady was saying and bring it down to their level and just relate it to them. And he also provides wonderful advice to the 4AL Facebook. And so she ended with, people like Daryl make her miss active duty, because she loved working with you. The next one was Master Sergeant Cheryl. My brother from a different mother. I worked with Daryl when I was still an airman. Our flight chief at the time was toxic, horribly toxic, emotionally and verbally abusive. He was huge, intimidating, and a screamer. My anxiety was at an all-time high. I was severely depressed and had every intention of getting out of the Air Force. I was just barely hanging on. Daryl protected us and shielded us from the brunt of the attacks by the flight chief. When we finally gathered the courage to speak to the squadron commander, Master Sergeant Donaldson went to bat for us and validated and corroborated everything we were saying. The flight chief was fired that day and was banned from ever stepping foot in our section again. I will never forget the courage, heart to heart, and the protection he showed myself and the other airmen in our unit. It showed me that bad leaders can be held accountable, and that we must stand up for what's right, even when it's really, really scary. He got me through that difficult time, and we have remained best friends ever since. And the last one was from Master Sergeant retired Yolanda Ward. She worked when Daryl and I first met together. I remember the first time when I saw, yes, I saw, because we were not even introduced properly to Master Sergeant Donaldson in records during an exercise. The one of many chaotic and challenging experiences that we always had at Andrews at the hospital. It was my first time being in an exercise at that base. Donaldson came up to me and said, "Don't worry, I've been stationed at Andrews for years, and I know how to handle things." He walked me to all the different stations and showed me the system and how it needed to be run. I was thankful for his presence and willingness to help. He is an exemplary leader, ready to assist without even being asked. Little did I know, a few years down the road, I would be his supervisor, or should I say counterpart, as there was nothing I needed to supervise. Great memories, long talks, mentorship moments, dating advice, family gatherings. Wishing you the best of luck in the next chapter of your life. Daryl, since being back at Andrews as the SGA, people hear that I'm doing your ceremony and mention how great you are and have nothing but good things to say. I just want you to know you have left a mark. And it's definitely a good one. Mrs. Smith, you have raised your son very well, and obviously he learned a lot from you in your service. You should be very proud. Kristen and Ivy, you have Daryl all to yourself now. Thank you both for your service, sacrifice over the past couple of years. Daryl, my friend, I wish you nothing but joy and happiness.
Got this, man.
And then, in your next endeavor, retire. Thanks again for allowing me to preside over your special moment. Let's get you retired.
Thank you, Colonel Petering. of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal to Master Sergeant Daryl M. Donaldson for meritorious service 8 November 2022 to 31 March 2025. Master Sergeant Daryl M. Donaldson distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Flight Chief, Tricare Operations and Patient Administration while assigned to the 17th Healthcare Operations Squadron, 17th Medical Group, 17th Training Wing, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. During this period, Sergeant Donaldson synced the Admissions and Dispositions Department by partnering with the local hospital to increase oversight of 1,200 patients, enabling 18 commanders to make timely decisions impacting unit operations. Additionally, as the interim first sergeant, he advised 3 commanders through 5 UCMJ actions, conducted 4 conflict resolutions, and connected a family with resources during a medical emergency. Moreover, he served as the senior enlisted leader for 2 squadrons, where he led 194 personnel through the Joint Commission Survey, securing a 99.5% compliance rate while delivering highly reliable care. Finally, Sergeant Donaldson's leadership was integral to the group's achievements of 8 Wing, 1 2nd Air Force, 2 AETC award wins, and his selection as the Wing Senior NCO of the Quarter in 2023 and 2024. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Donaldson culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order. Attention to orders. The Department of the Air Force Special Order Number AC-014793, dated 11 April 2024, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Master Sergeant Daryl Donaldson is relieved from his active duty responsibilities, 17th Medical Group, Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. Effective 1 April 2025, in the grade of Master Sergeant with 22 years' time in service. Signed, David W. Alvin, General Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We will now present Master Sergeant Donaldson with a certificate of retirement. The certificate reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America to all who shall see these presents reading. This is to certify that Master Sergeant Daryl Donaldson, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the 1st of April, 2025. Signed, General David W. Alvin, Chief of Staff. We will now present the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. The certificate reads, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force, Master Sergeant Daryl Donaldson. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to your nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Given this first day of April 2025, signed, David A. Flossie, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. We will now present Master Sergeant Donaldson with his retirement letter from the 4AO Career Field Manager. The letter reads, Dear Master Master Sergeant Donaldson, on behalf of the men and women of the Health Services Management career field, please accept my sincerest congratulations upon your retirement from the United States Air Force. During your 22 years of service, you clearly made immeasurable contributions to the Air Force Medical Service. Your commitment and dedication throughout your enlisted tenure as a health services manager is markedly notable amongst the 4AO community. Your loyalty displayed over the years is characterized in the men and women you mentored, as well as programs and processes you effectively manage, thus strengthening our career field and illustrating why 4AOs are indeed in demand and indispensable. Thank you for being a cornerstone in the medical community, shaping the future of the greatest Air Force in the world, and leaving a legacy of excellence for which you should be proud. We salute you for your dedicated service to a grateful nation. Best wishes and happiness in the years to come. Sincerely, Chief Master Sergeant Jason P. Estrada, 4AO Career Field Manager. Thank you, Colonel Dietering. At this time, we would like Mrs. Kristen Donaldson to please come forward and join Master Sergeant Donaldson. Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, I'd like to ask Mrs. Donaldson to place this pin on her husband's lapel to symbolize transition from active duty to retired status. It is customary that we present the spouse with a certificate of appreciation for the support and sacrifices she has made during her husband's career. The certificate reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Kristen Donaldson for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this first day of April 2025, General David W. Alvin, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Colonel Angelina M. McGinnis, Commander 17th Training Wing." We would also like to present a letter of appreciation to Kristen from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, "On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this certificate of appreciation to Kristen Donaldson. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation, given this first day of April 2025, signed David A. Flossie, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force." Thank you, Kristen. Master Sergeant Donaldson will now present his daughter Ivy with the Military Child Medal. Thank you, Master Sergeant Donaldson and Ivy. Ladies and gentlemen, service members will now perform the passing of the flag ceremony. This ceremony is a dramatic and uplifting way to honor the flag on special days, like the retirement of Master Sergeant Donaldson for his 22 years of service and contributions to the United States Air Force. more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of 4 satellites that circle our globe and on the thin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Thank you, A1C Alexis Hernandez and A1C Colton Arthur. Master Sergeant Donaldson will now be presented a few special gifts.
Not supposed to speak or something? I mean,
I'll
nervous.
say something. So this is from the First Sergeant Council. So First Sergeants, we hold our diamond very close to our heart. It's a big deal when we name someone an honorary first sergeant, because we don't do it for everyone. However, Master Sergeant Donaldson, who he is and how he leads airmen, has earned the Goodfellow nomination to serve as honorary first sergeant. Having been found to hold the highest degree of standards and qualities expected of a first sergeant, Master Sergeant Donaldson's nomination has been unanimously approved and will be formally bestowed at a ceremony to be held on 25 September 2021. From Goodfellow First Sergeants.
It's not over yet. So, him being the first honorary first sergeant, so everything that was talked about beforehand, the mentorship, the leadership, truly appreciate it. I hope we appreciate this, it's only our appreciation, it was about like 4 appreciations in there. As first sergeants, we have tradition. Whenever one of our first sergeants leaves, they get a streamer, it's a yellow streamer, or they get a blue retirement streamer. So he's the first one to go into our Doolittle guidon, and I'm excited for this. Here you go, sir. That's a small. All right.
Well, Sergeant Donaldson didn't say that we have to say anything. He just said, hey, come up and present on the shadow box. So, on behalf of the Metro Exec team, some members also in the clinic, we all put together some donations so that we can give Master Sergeant Donaldson a shadow box. I don't even know what to add to that because Colonel Sergeant Bundy sir also added some things about like what Sergeant Donaldson did. But what I can probably add to it is he's gonna be truly missed. For our medics, y'all know that we have our like medic exec badge that we do. We walk around the clinic, and if you turn those around, there's like a code listing to where if there's like a baby that's missing or like an angry patient or something, we do like a color code. We say like code black or whatever it may be. We respond to it. Colonel, I don't know if we can make this happen, but maybe we put like a code Donaldson on there. So. But it's gonna be missing because he does like cover a lot of things. But on behalf of the med group, we want to present you the shadow box, sir.
You have notes on there.
They have to let me go out. I don't like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and distinct honor to introduce Master Sergeant Daryl Donaldson, United States Air Force retired. The floor is yours.
Not too late. All right, so I'm gonna try to get through this. I hate speeches. So, this is new. I love talking to people and, just getting to know them and figuring out what their goals and things are so I can help mentor them and things. But when I gotta read off a piece of paper, I struggle.
So, first, I would like to thank all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, family, friends, and my fellow medics, or fellow Cobra medics for joining my family and I here in person or virtually for our retirement ceremony. Again, I don't like being the center of attention, so I'll try to get through this pretty quickly. First, I can't go through the ceremony without thanking my team that put this together, Tech Sergeant Relics, Senior Ms. Stewart, A1C Gracie, Ms. Tanya Gutierrez, and Chaplain. I appreciate everything you guys did to make this a special day for my family and I. Colonel Dieter, thank you so much for making the time to come out here for me today. I don't think I need to say anything else. You pretty much said everything for me. I could end my speech here, but then I wouldn't be able to tell my story. You came into my life and career, almost like exactly what you said, at the right time. I was a young staff sergeant, kind of young. I've been staff sergeant for 6 years at that point, not very young. I had no direction, and I had no mentors. I remember the conversation like yesterday. You asked me, what did I want out of my career? And I couldn't answer. Your gentle leadership style and your encouragement pushed me to be better and want to be. Your words resonated with me, and that's when my career truly began. Yoda once said, decide you must how to serve them best. If you leave them now, help them when you could, but you would destroy all for which they have fought and suffered. I translate this into being there for my airmen around me and being the best Jedi airman I could be, and don't quit on those who have invested time in me or needed me. Because of your leadership, I grew to be the leader I am today. 8 years ago, I told you, if I made it this far, that I would love for you to be my officiating officer for my ceremony, and you said absolutely. Looks like we both kept that promise. Thank you so much for always being in my corner through my career. I appreciate and love you. As a colonel. We don't have friends. No practication. First John and Joan, thank you for welcoming me into your family with open arms. You've treated me like part of your family since I've met you. I know I moved Kristen further than she's ever been away from home, but you've continued to support us from afar. Thank you for making the long trip from New York to be here to celebrate with us. We appreciate and love you. Whew, it's a hard one. Mom, where do I begin? You have been my rock for 40 years, and you did it all by yourself. I couldn't imagine what my life would be without you. You've always done everything for me, even if I didn't deserve it. For those who don't know, my mother was a drill sergeant in the Army. So it was not. But you did everything to give us the best life. Even with having everything I could possibly want, I was still a knucklehead. I constantly did dumb things and got into trouble. The dumbest thing came when I took your car without your permission and ended up getting hit by another vehicle going to help a friend. Of course, going to help a friend is what I do. But I wasn't even concerned that I was involved in an accident or that I could have been hurt. I was more scared of how disappointed you were going to be and how bad I'm going to get my butt kicked. Like literally, I was terrified. She came home, I saw her car pulling up, and I was like, ran out the back door. And then she found me somehow. down the street. She asked me where her car was, and I was like, I couldn't even talk. She was like, get in the car. And I was like, yep. It's gonna be there. I was grounded for what felt like forever. You told me the following school year, if I did not get all A's and B's, you would send me to military school. Yeah. I knew you were serious, so I made it my mission to honor your words. One day, sitting in science class, I get a call to show up to the counselor's office because I was being disenrolled from school. You were going to disenroll me and enroll me into military school. I was so upset because I held my end of the deal. However, due to a clerical error on the teacher's side, I received a D on my progress report. But it had been fixed, and I showed you. I remember your face when I showed you, but at that point, you were already committed because I needed the discipline to be a better person. Even though I had all A's and B's in the same. For a while, I resented your decision, but I quickly came to realize I truly needed it. It helped give me the direction in my life that I needed at that point. Thank you for never giving up on me and giving me positive footsteps to follow. I love you, baby. Kristen, babe, thank you for being my better half for the last 6 years. President, I'll never say it out loud again. But let me read this on video. You motivated me through school when I wanted to quit. You supported my career goals, even when they landed us here at Goodfellow Air Force Base, middle of nowhere, Texas. I remember when I made staff sergeant and we had to decide, do I retire now or do I take the strike? You knew it was my goal, and you knew I could not let my mom retire at a higher rate than me. So you said, let's do it, but you put the stipulation that I had to have a retirement ceremony. And by the way, we got married in 2020, and at that point she had never been to any military ceremonies, balls, anything, so that's the reason why she put the stipulation on it. Well, we're here, babe. We did it. Thank you for putting up with my craziness and all my shoes. I can't wait to see what is next for us and our family. I love you. Ivy, my little twin. I need you to slow down. You're growing way too fast. This girl is only 3 years old and she's 3'4". But it feels like I have to buy you clothes every other week. I just bought her 3 tea pajamas, and she couldn't fit into them as soon as I put them on her. So. You're only 3. You weren't even 3 yet. You can't even fit. So I am honored to be your dad, and I look forward to watching you grow. I love you to the moon and back. All right. All my family and stuff's out the way, so now I'll talk about my career. I can't believe I made it 22 years. I told my mom a long time ago when I was 17 that I would never join the military. Never. She kept asking me, like literally. She told me several times that I needed to do it, but I wasn't having it. Then life wasn't going as planned, so one day I called my mom and said, can you take me to a recruiter's office? She did not hesitate. I was in the recruiter's office the next day. She told me, do not look at any of these other recruiters because you will only join the Air Force. That was the best decision I didn't even get to make. Yeah, I was 17, so she had to sign the paper, so I didn't have a choice. So it was either wait or go now. I told myself I would do 4 years, go to school, and get out. That 4 years turned into 9, then 13, and then my final reenlistment in 2019. Every single time, it was a struggle, except for the last. I would think to myself, do I stay or do I go? But something kept telling me I wasn't finished with this journey. I used to look back and say, I wish I focused sooner or made different decisions, but that wasn't my path. knowledge to help others to not make the same mistakes that I did. Mentorship and development of others became my passion. I love being a mentor and helping others, something I wish I had early in my career. I always tell people, don't do dumb stuff. Stay focused on your why and find a mentor. Those things can help you get wherever you want to be in life. My time at Goodfellow has been interesting. I went from being the TOPA flight chief and 4A functional manager to interim first sergeant to senior enlisted leader covering 2 squadrons and being the sole wing award ceremony action officer for 2 years. I'm tired. Exhausted. I need a break. Each of those roles came with their own unique challenges, but I took them head on, and I would like to think I was pretty successful. I hope I am leaving this place better than I arrived. I do want to give a few shout outs. Justin, Matt Sergeant Sims, you have been my sounding board since I arrived. We check each other when needed and push each other constantly. If I were not retiring, I would love to continue to serve with you. Your knowledge on leadership principles and the way you motivate people is unmatched. Continue to have that passion. I know you'll be a chief one day. Matt Sergeant Monday, don't lose your passion. I've had some good first sergeants in my career, but bro, I have never had one as hype and passionate as you. Don't lose that. And I do have a few shout outs that I didn't write my speech. To my moms in the crowd that showed up on maternity leave, I appreciate all y'all. Lieutenant Gilson, one of my favorite junior MSGs, she showed up in uniform. Crazy.
Only for you.
But no, I appreciate y'all taking the time. Like, seriously, like you should be at home with your baby. Parents here, thankfully, came. But like that just shows that I made some kind of impact in people's lives that were able to show up. My good friend Olivia, she came from Lackland.
Close.
That's where I started. Texas from Shepherd back then. She came up from Lackland, or not Lackland, but San Antonio. We've known each other since Andrews. I was one of her mentors when she first got to Andrews. And then Chief Rollins, I appreciate you coming. She's my AETC functional manager. So I know she's very busy, so but I appreciate you taking the time as well. To all my Cobra medics, I appreciate you, and it's been a pleasure serving alongside you. Thank you to everyone that made it, even if you're online. I appreciate and love you all. I'm a phone call or text message away. Just because I'm taking the uniform off doesn't mean I'm done. Thank you. You can do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Master Sergeant Donaldson and wish him and his entire family every success in their future endeavors. Please stand for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official flag. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please congratulate Master Sergeant Donaldson and his family in the receiving line and join us for a reception in the back of the room celebrating his retirement.
Great job, Stuart.